I'm Idiotech, and today we're going to take a look at Empyrion Galactic Survival. So, initially I was going to review this game, but I kind of ran out of time, so this is kind of a live review, essentially. It's not a first impressions, I've played the game for like over 9 hours. So, we're just going to jump into the game, I'm going to show you what it has to offer, what's good about it, what's bad about it, and whether or not you should pick it up. Now, this game is early access, you need to keep that in mind. It is apparently in a pre-alpha state, which is ridiculous, but whatever. And it also has one of the worst names of a game ever. I mean, telling people what you're playing and saying Empyrion Galactic Survival is not easy, especially, you know, when you're reviewing something and you have to promote these kind of things. It's difficult to get names like that across to people. I think they should reconsider that name and just call it Empyrion or something like that, but anyway. That's besides the point. Now, the first thing I need to talk about is the tutorial. This game is a complex, deep survival game / building and creative game. I think space engineers with survival mechanics. Now, the tutorial system exists, so that's a good thing. However, it's pretty complicated and it relies heavily on videos produced by someone outside of the company, and they're not quite as up to date as I would like. So, and you can't expect them to be, they're just made by some guy on YouTube. So, it's not the easiest thing to get into, but once you start experimenting and you accept that, I got the hang of it relatively quickly, and I dumped initially 5 hours into it and then another 5 hours into it last night. Now, the one negative is that I lost my save game when the game crashed, and so I'm now routinely backing out of the game and then re-going into the game because there's no way to save other than to do that. So that's one thing to keep in mind. Look, it's a very early game and it is early access, but, and this is the good thing, it's not a shit game. And that's great, because seriously, a lot of these games that come out are shit. Now, there's a lot to be done. It's not finished, but it has a lot of potential, and I've enjoyed the hell out of this game. I've really enjoyed this game a lot so far. So, I'll explain the premise to you. I'm a bit further on, this is my base. But when you first start the game, you'll land on this planet, and you'll have this little ship here. And this is your escape pod. And initially, you'll have 2 cargo containers here, and 2 cargo containers here and here, and you also have an oxygen tank there and an oxygen delivery device, I guess, here, an oxygen station it's referred to. And you have over here, oh, okay, I'm gonna have to fight this bro. Now, oh, wow, he just wrecked my ship. Okay, so there are no reload animations, again, a very early game. And yesterday, unless they've patched this, these guys didn't actually do any damage to you. And that's still the case. I'm just standing here, he's doing nothing. So, there are a lot of problems with this game right off the bat, okay? This guy can't hurt me, so the survival aspects of the game in terms of the monsters and things that might kill you, they're a bit lacking. But that's not what I like about this game. Hang on, let me just kill this guy. Alright, come on. Right, he's dead. Alright, I changed my hotkeys, that's correct. So we get some meat, great, amazing. Survival mechanics. That's not what I enjoy about this game. What I enjoy about this game is primarily exists in here, which is the constructor. There are a ton of things you can build. You can build like hover vehicles, you can build spaceships, you can build capital ships, you can build houses. It's great. I'm really enjoying the creative elements to this game and the survival stuff such as feeding myself and mining ores, which are over here. So look, I'll start from the beginning. There's a lot here. So when you start, this is all you have, and you kind of have to make use of this and survive. They give you a bunch of raw materials and oxygen and some food packs to get you going in the first couple of days. And all those materials will probably last you for about the first day or two. And it does have a day-night cycle. That planet up there is actually a planet you can go to and fly to, which is really fucking cool. Now, I need to put this in here as a sort of proviso, I guess. I love sci-fi things, so being able to be on a planet and then eventually like build up a base and then finally build a spaceship and then go into space, leave the atmosphere and land on another planet is very appealing to me. So if that kind of stuff isn't appealing to you, some of these mechanics may not appeal to you just because they are very similar to a lot of other games. So I'll run over here and show you this. So you have to gather resources in this game. You can harvest plants. So here's all the plants here. You can shoot animals and aliens and things like that and collect their parts. You can pick up things. So like this, for example, if I just hit this, I'll pick up some fiber. I am getting some frame rate loss currently, which I wasn't experiencing yesterday, which is a bit unusual. It has just been patched. Hopefully they didn't break the game. But yeah, I'm not getting solid frame rates. Yesterday I was getting 60 FPS the entire time, so that's unusual. But yeah, so one mechanic in this game is mining, and I have just run out of stamina, which is kind of a pain, but mining is a thing in this game, and you can actually terraform the Earth, which I think is cool. So you can, as you can see here, dig a massive hole. That grey material there is iron, which I've mined an awful lot of. And you can see up there's some copper deposits in that direction. And as you explore the planet, which I'll just bring up the map to show you, you can actually rotate this around in real time, which is kind of cool. You'll see these deposits here, here, and here, and here that I've discovered in the local area. And I can go there and mine resources that I need to be able to create the things I need. Now, this is an entire planet, and I can go and discover the entire planet, all of the resources the planet has to offer, and I can also leave the planet and go to other planets within the solar system. So currently there are only 2 additional planets and what appears to be an asteroid field where you can mine materials. They are planning to expand that, eventually having an entire galaxy full of procedurally generated planets. I think that's very ambitious. I think all of these games that are talking about doing that run the risk of becoming somewhat boring because, you know, there's only so many times you can procedurally generate something before it's the same over and over and over again. So I hope they don't go that far. I hope they take a more limited view and maybe just create a single solar system. I think that would be more than enough. Some gas giants, some ice planets, you know, stuff like that, so we can harvest different kinds of resources and then just expand the construction elements of the game. I think that would be a better way to go than just going with the huge scale and scope thing. Anyway, so eventually you'll move away from this, surviving off this, and you'll start to build your own house. And this is where I can show you all the mechanics, essentially, because I've kind of broken that thing now. So this is my house. It's pretty simple. I have some areas here where I grow crops, so I can make food and eat, which is cool. I have my oxygen tank here and my oxygen bay, which I'm going to currently use because I'm starting to run a bit low on oxygen. And you can see there down in the bottom left-hand corner, I have health, food, oxygen, and stamina. So stamina allows me to run, oxygen is required, and I'm wearing a suit. If I press the V key, you can see this is my guy. He's wearing a suit, and so I'm refilling my suit with oxygen. As I move around, I use more oxygen, and I need to replenish it. And the way that I do that is by manufacturing oxygen, which I guess I could show you the process of this. So if I press the E key in this case, it's defaultly T, but I changed it. You'll see these oxygen bottles, and I stick those in here, and then have this tank here, and the oxygen goes into here, and then I jump in and I get refilled with oxygen. And this is powered by this, which is a bunch of fuel packs in a container, which powers this generator here, which then powers all the lights. It powers this, which is my constructor, and everything else, including, you know, these oxygen tanks. Now, I don't have much here currently. This is also a food processor, allows me to make different kinds of food. But there are processes involved. So in order to make oxygen, for example, which I need, obviously, to live, and they do give you some starting out, but you need to start manufacturing it yourself. And I enjoy personally, I enjoy manufacturing processes. I enjoy finding natural resources, turning them into things, then turning those things into other things. I like those types of manufacturing progression trees. I enjoy that process, and this game is packed full of them, essentially. So this is my oxygen generator, and you can see here it's got fuel packs in it, which it requires to generate oxygen. It generates a bottle every 100 seconds, I think, and I have 27 bottles that it's made for me here. So I can just power this thing up and leave it, and it will extract oxygen from the water, because water is made of oxygen and hydrogen. So that's cool, and then I take my oxygen bottles back to my house, which takes a little while, I'm sorry. I'm trying to get there as fast as possible, but the stamina mechanic in this is a little bit limiting sometimes. And I take those back to my house, and then we plug them into the oxygen tank, and then I jump in the chamber, and I can breathe again. So that's good. Now, when you start the game, just for those who are new, I'll just show you what you do with this ship, because you may pick this up. I do recommend it. I mean, there's no secret to that. I said on Twitter yesterday I enjoyed the game. This is more of a demonstration of its features. I think it's a good game. It's obviously very early. There's a lot wrong with it. I'll get into those in a second. So you put the oxygen in these containers here and here, and once this has powered the ship, which, by the way, you have to jump into and then power it with the Y key, on and off, which I don't have any actual power in this thing at the moment, so it won't do anything, but that's what you have to do before you can use any of these features. There's a bunch of tutorials online, and the wiki thing that they provide you with is relatively helpful, so that should all get you going. But initially you get your oxygen from here, and then when you progress upwards, you move into your base and you build your own oxygen tank. So here's our oxygen thing. We just picked up some more bottles, so I'll drop those into here, and that's perfectly fine now. So that's you know, full of oxygen. I can use it whenever I want. I also need to replenish some of these fuel packs while I'm here, so I'll do that. Now, this device here, or a smaller version on your ship, is where you'll spend a large portion of your time in this game. So we'll jump into it here. Now, we have these various tabs, and this UI needs some work. Initially, I found it clunky and kind of annoying and irritating to get around and navigate, but it's one of those games where it has a lot of foibles, a lot of little things that are annoying or frustrating, or you need to go read a wiki to understand. But once you do understand them, it doesn't get in the way anymore, you know? It's just a matter of knowledge. Once you have the knowledge, it's fine. It's not that there's any particularly annoying systems here, but anyway. So in this first tab, we have devices and weapons and tools, etc. So we have a drill, a flatten tool, which allows you to flatten the terrain. We have a remove and repair tool that allows you to remove blocks from your building or repair blocks or whatever. Pistols, assault rifles, shotguns, sniper rifles, rocket launchers, laser pistols, shotguns, blah, blah, blah. I mean, it goes on, right? On and on. There's a lot of stuff here, lots of weapons, lots of tools, drills, Gatling guns, laser rifles, all this stuff that you can put on your spaceships as well as just carry around with you and shoot at people. So that's all your tools and weapons there. There's quite a lot. Now, I haven't made a lot of this because I've only recently constructed this large constructor here. It took me a while to get to this. Initially, you start off with a small one and you are limited in what you can make. I think you can only make ground vehicles and some basic tools. Then we have our blocks. So here, these are very important. If you want to build a base, you have to build this base starter kit, and then you build off of that. If you want to build a ground vessel, you build with this, you start with this. If you want to build a small vessel, you start with this. If you want to build a capital vessel, you start with this. And you build this, and you can see on the tooltip on the side there, it requires one core and 8 hull blocks. So it's not particularly difficult to make, okay? But in order to make the parts that make it function, they are somewhat difficult to make. So we have various hull blocks. Now, if you played a game like Space Engineers, this should be quite familiar to you. We've got various shapes that we can build out of, and that's all nice. We have stairs, we have ramps, we have windows, and then later on we have like flooring and floor tiles essentially for a kitchen, living room, and stuff like that. And there's actually quite a lot of cosmetic items as you progress deeper into the game. The next tab is materials, so we can take raw ores, for example, and turn them into bars or pellets, and then we can use those to create fuel and metals and cables and electronics and computers and motors and reactors and advanced CPUs and coils and all sorts of stuff. I mean, it goes down and down. You can make a TV, you can make like plants and rooms and this sort of stuff. And then finally we have this section, which is sort of the top tier stuff that you're going to want to be making. So we've got cores that you need for basic buildings. We've got automatic doors. We've got elevator blocks, large constructors, they allow you to make things. Small constructors allow you to make things from a spaceship. Cargo containers, we've got food processing things, oxygen things, thrusters, fuel tanks, generators. I mean, it's quite a lot. Cockpits, lots of different kinds of cockpits, different kinds of control surfaces for your spaceship. Some of them are cosmetic. Lots of different kinds of thrusters and propellants and RCS thrusters and, you know, landing gear and hover pads and all that sort of stuff. So there is a fair amount here just to begin with. There's quite a lot to create, and I found the process of harvesting materials, creating things from those materials, and sort of building up my base. And you can paint these as well, by the way. There's a paint gun. You can change the colors of all of this, like Space Engineers. So that's cool. Combined with the idea of survival, having landed on a planet, crash landed on a planet, having to take myself from this little pod where I don't have anything and build this big house, and then extend that house and improve it, and then build a craft so I can travel around the ground faster, and then eventually moving up to a spaceship where I can leave the atmosphere, and then a capital ship where I can have a permanent sort of like station in space that I can launch from and do all sorts of missions. Now, the other aspect of the game is exploration, and you'll see over there's some stuff happening, and all over the worlds there's various things to explore, and on different worlds as well there's different kinds of materials that you require. So if I just run over here, it will actually take quite a while to get over there, so I'm not going to bother, but there's actually a military facility over there that's packed full of cool equipment and useful gear. So once you've got some weaponry, I would head over there, because there are drones, and that's this sort of game's enemy, I guess. There are drones, and then there's weird glitchy aliens as well, which we'll have a look at. So they're a bit glitchy. This game is very, very early. But that's an alien. And some of them are friendly and some of them are not so friendly. But all the way over there, we have a military base. And it's very useful to go to those places and scavenge for materials. It takes a lot less time to go over there and scavenge the more expensive things, the things that take longer to produce, than it is to maybe just sit at your base and do that. Now, all of that being said, I'm having a great time. It's not the best looking game by far. These mountains look pretty crude. It's a very sort of rudimentary visual experience. But for a survival game, and let's be honest at this point, most survival games are quite similar, I think it's great. I enjoy the building mechanics. I enjoy the construction mechanics. I enjoy those processes of collecting materials and turning them into things. It's good. I think it's handled well here, and I think it has a lot of room for expansion, and I enjoy the theme. I also enjoy the idea of eventually being able to leave the atmosphere and go and explore other planets. Now, I could do that in creative mode right now. I'm not doing that because I don't want to spoil that experience for myself. I'm going to continue playing this game in my spare time. All of that being said, it's early access. It looks a bit rubbish, honestly. I mean, it's not awful, and graphics aren't everything, and the lighting is okay, but some of these mountain ranges don't look particularly good, right? They don't. The drilling stuff is a bit rudimentary, like I'll just show you. It just sort of terraforms a bit, and, you know, whatever. If we look at the map and the procedural planet generation, they're pretty goofy looking planets. But I don't know. I'm enjoying myself. And one thing that is really positive is that it runs well. It's running at 60 FPS now. It's just a bit glitchy before, but it runs smoothly. I've not had any real problems in terms of performance. And that's important to me. Unlike a game like Ark, which, you know, looks great, but runs very badly. It hampers my experience. And the other thing is, it's just, there's an atmosphere to this game that I'm enjoying as well. Like the just knowing that I'm on a planet that I eventually can get to that planet there. That's actually real, and I can fly there. That appeals to me a lot. But it's early access. It's rough. It looks bad. There are lots of bugs. Certain things don't work properly. I'll show you one thing in here that's annoying and took me a little while to figure out. So I have to hit P to interact with the core of my base. If I turn my base off and turn it on, things won't be functioning, right? That's functioning, but what I have to actually do is flick this switch on and off again, and then it functions. It's got a weird bug like that. The food system, I probably should show you that, so I'll just harvest some of this stuff. We'll go over here to my food processor. Currently, you know, you just dump your stuff in here that you've picked up, and then you can make stuff. I think it will let me make stuff. So yeah, I can make some ham or some steak or salami or French fries, you know, fine, whatever. It's fine. You make food, you eat it like every other survival game. It's alright, it's not that interesting. You can grow food, again, like almost every other survival game. And you can build things almost like every other survival game. I don't know what's appealing to me about it, though. It must just be the thematic element. Like, it's like Space Engineers, and I'm a big space guy. I like space and sci-fi. And it just, I don't know, it has this sense of atmosphere that I'm just enjoying. And I enjoy the mechanics. I don't know what else to say. The mechanics are enjoyable to me. I'm not against survival games. I didn't hate on Ark because I dislike survival games. I just didn't think it was a particularly well executed survival game. I didn't think it had a particularly strong direction in terms of what it was trying to do. It seemed like just a hodgepodge of store-bought assets and didn't have much direction, whereas this has a clear direction. I start abandoned on a planet. I slowly build up to having a base. Then I start to build ground vehicles. I start to spread out across the world and experience things and build maybe a mining base up here and maybe a farming area over here. And I start to expand my stuff. And then when I've finally got enough resources to build a spaceship, I go into space and I explore other planets. And maybe there are other aliens there and other materials and things for me to explore and exploit, and new recipes that I can make because I now have access to new materials. And then I planet hop to another planet, and then I have some kind of like star base, you know, or a space station that I can, like, you know, use as a sort of a point between planets. That's a long progression arc right there. And something like Ark Survival Evolved is survive the dinosaurs and build some equipment to survive the dinosaurs, and you can ride a dinosaur And that's kind of it. There's, you know, you build a base and stuff, but it doesn't have that scope. I mean, I'm leaving the planet and going to other planets to exploit natural resources. That really, really appeals to me. So overall, I think the combination of a game like Space Engineers with the creative construction elements that are in that game that is quite unique, combined with the traditional survival game element, combined with planet hopping, is awesome. Now, it's early, and right now I've played the game for about 8 hours, but you have to remember that I did lose a save game, so really I've only played it for about 5, maybe 6. And I've had great time so far. Once I've built my land vehicle and exploited the resources on this planet and built the spaceship, which shouldn't come too long after that, and I've exploited the other planets, I think at that point, this version of the alpha will start to run a little bit dry and not have all that much left for me to explore, because I'm getting to the point now where once I've built the elements required to build those spaceships and stuff, really all I have left is cosmetic stuff. So making a pretty sort of home and having a cool kitchen and stuff like that, which is fine, but it doesn't really have any gameplay function. So I think maybe right now there's maybe 10 to 20, maybe even 30 hours if you're really sort of particular and really like milk everything the game has to offer. And for the price, which is around $15, depending on where you live, I think that's okay, and considering the game runs well, I don't have any reason not to recommend it to you if you're interested in the game. However, as with all early access titles, it's the kind of thing that will be better the more you wait. And I think that their current goals are very, very ambitious, and I would like to see the developers scale them back, maybe focus on just a solar system, and work on mechanics that are more interesting, work on mechanics that just use that solar system, and expand what you can build rather than expanding the universe, because having a huge universe is kind of pointless if there isn't anything to do in it. So I'd prefer a smaller world/solar system with more stuff to build, more stuff to do, more stuff to exploit. That would be great. Anyway, so far, it's pretty enjoyable. I can see myself playing it for another couple of days and then waiting for, you know, a big content patch down the line. So yeah, I think it's cool. I think you should check it out. If you've got $15 laying around and you want something to do for a few days, you'll probably find a lot to enjoy here. As always though, early access, so, you know, it's not finished, there's lots of bugs, and it's not easy to understand when you initially get into it. So that's my first impression / live review of this game. I think it's cool. If you like my video, let me know in the comments below. If you have your own thoughts on this game and you've played it, also let me know. Otherwise, like, favorite, share, and subscribe, and I will see you guys next time.